might be wondering why we have a leap year. As you know, a year is the amount of time taken by the Earth to complete one revolution around the sun. But a year does not accurately represent the time taken by Earth to complete the revolution. To fix the error, we need a leap year. We introduce an extra day in February, and that fixes the error. So each leap year has 366 days instead of the usual 365. So how do you know if a given year is a leap year? Since leap year occurs every 4 years, there are a few rules you have to follow to find out if a given year is a leap year. Let's take a look at those rules. Our first rule for calculating leap year is Rule 1. If the year is not divisible by 4, it is not a leap year. And so we would be able to stop right there saying, no, the year is not a leap year. If the year is divisible by 4, we want to continue on to rule number 2. So divisible by 4, remember, means that if we take the year and we divide it by 4, the answer needs to be a whole number. So we'd move on to rule number 2. If the year is divisible by 4, we move on to rule number 2. So rule number 2 says, if the year is not divisible by 100, it is a leap year. And we would be able to stop right there saying our year is a leap year. If the year is divisible by 100 and also divisible by 400, then again it is a leap year. But the converse of this is also true. If the year is divisible by 100 and it's not divisible by 400, then it's not a leap year. This sounds kind of complicated, but let's look at a few examples of how we could go about calculating whether or not a year is a leap year. So let's look here where it asks us, are the following years leap years? So let's take a look at these 4 given years and see whether or not they're leap years. And we'll use the rules that we just discussed above. So let's begin with the year 2020. So if I take 2020 or 2020 and divide by 4, I get a whole number answer of 505. So 2020 is divisible by 4. So I come here to my first rule. If the year is divisible by 4, continue on to rule 2. So at this point, I know that 2020 is divisible by 4, and I can move on to rule 2. It may or may not be a leap year. I need to now check with the constraints of rule number 2 in order to find out if it is or is not a leap year. So in rule number 2, I take my 2020 and I try to divide it by 100. Well, 2020 is not divisible by 100. I won't get a whole number answer if I divide 2020 by 100. So if the year is not divisible by 100, and it is not, it is a leap year. So yes, 2020 is a leap year. Okay, we found that by finding that 2020 is divisible by 4, 2020 is not divisible by 100. So it is a leap year. So we'll move on to 1979, trying to look back in time and seeing, was 1979 a leap year or not? So I'll start out with my first rule. If the year is not divisible by 4, 1979 is not divisible by 4. I will not get a whole number answer if I divide 1979 by 4. So I can stop right there. If the year is not divisible by 4, and 1979 is not, it is not a leap year. So I can stop right there with my calculations and say, no, 1979 is not a leap year. or 1979 was not a leap year. What about the year 2000? If I take 2000 and divide it by 4, I get a whole number answer of 500. So 2000 is divisible by 4. So it says if the year is divisible by 4, continue on to rule 2. So yes, 2000 is divisible by 4. Now let's see what happens in rule 2 with the year 2000. If the year is not divisible by 100, well, 2000 is divisible by 100. And so we don't have to listen to this, or we don't have to pay attention to this first line. If the year is not divisible by 100, it is a leap year. We're not on that line because our year is divisible by 100. So we move here to this second part of the rule. If the year is divisible by 100, yes it is. 2000 is divisible by 100. And now we need to see, is it also divisible by 400? And yes, 2000 is also divisible by 400. Then it is a leap year. So we're saying yes to this 2000. 2000 is a leap year. The year 2000 is, or again, the year 2000 was, in the past tense, a leap year. So we found that one by going through the whole set of rules. We first found here that 2000 is divisible by 4. We moved down here and we saw that 2000 is divisible by 100 and also divisible by 400, making it a leap year. So this one we had to follow down all the way to the end of our rules. Now we'll look at 1900. So first rule we start out with, 1900 is divisible by 4. So it may or may not be a leap year. We'll find out when we put it to the test of rule number 2. Rule number 2, 1900 is divisible by 100. So we come to here, if the year is divisible by 100, 1900 is divisible by 100, but 1900 is not divisible by 400. And so it is not a leap year. So we say no to this 1900. 1900 was not a leap year. The calculation to accurately tell a leap year is a little involved, and as you can see, it can get quite complicated. A simplified approach to finding leap year is to divide the year by 4. If the year is divisible by 4, then chances are high that it is a leap year. And if it is a leap year, then there is a 29th day in February, and the year has 366 days.